Welcome to the Glacial Drumlin State Trail.
Located in south central Wisconsin.
This 53.2-mile rail trail runs between the towns of Cottage Grove and Waukesha. The route is split into western and eastern sections, separated by a 1.5-mile on-road gap. We rode the 22-mile western section from Cottage Grove to Jefferson. So let's lift a foot and explore this trail.
Are we ready to lift a foot?
We're ready to roll. Let's
All
go.
right, we're rocking and rolling on the Glacial Drumlin Trail. Today's plan is to hit the western half of the trail. The whole trail is around 55 miles long, give or take. If you do the western half, it starts here in Cottage Grove, Wisconsin, and winds its way across to Jefferson. But then there's a break in the trail. They had to build it around a wetland, a private wetland. And rather than doing the road driving at the end, it'll be just under 23 miles at that point. Decent turnaround for us. We'll show you what it looks like to navigate around the interstate there. It looks like they built good access, so we'll check that out. And so today's turnaround may very well be at a Best Western hotel. So we'll give that a look and let you know how it turns out. This is my first time in Cottage Grove. It's a beautiful little suburb. I would imagine a fair number of students and perhaps faculty that go to University of Wisconsin actually live in this little suburb. It's very convenient, close to Madison.
The Glacial Drumlin Trail sits between two of Wisconsin's major cities, Madison and Milwaukee, linking the state's academic heart and cultural hub through miles of peaceful countryside. On the west end is just 10 miles from the University of Wisconsin, perfect for catching a Badgers football game, while 25 miles to the east lies Milwaukee, often referred to as the beer capital of the world, where riders can extend their adventure with a tour of one of their many breweries.
We're riding in south central Wisconsin, an area that was completely covered during the last ice age. And as the glaciers receded, they left these long cigar-shaped hills throughout the landscape called drumlins. The trails get their name from these glacial drumlins, and they're largely a mix of boulders and gravel that were left behind in these oblong hill shapes throughout the landscape. And other than that, it's flat in between.
Glaciers push rock and soil across the landscape, grinding large boulders into smaller pieces and carving deep valleys in their path. About 15,000 years ago, as the massive Laurentide ice sheet receded from Wisconsin, it left behind the unique oblong hills known as drumlins. The formations add a lot of character to the landscape and are typically not used for farming, like the surrounding area, because they are often rocky, steep, and covered in trees. You can spot several along the Glacial Drumlin Trail once you know what to look for. Just east of the Cottage Grove trailhead, an assisted living facility sits on top of one. Then, at about 2 miles in, at Ridge Road, the roadway itself follows the crest of another. And in my opinion, one of the most scenic examples appears around mile marker 6, where you can see a postcard-perfect Wisconsin farm accentuated by a large wooded drumlin rising just to the east.
Chippy hazards on the trail, noted. So let's talk about the trail. So this is what? Crushed gravel, crushed limestone trail, well maintained. You do have to watch out for the occasional chipmunk hole or badger hole, perhaps. We're not sure.
Being a rail trail, the Glacial Drumlin has a very gentle elevation gain of only 551 feet overall. It features a mix of surfaces, so your ride will feel a little bit different as you go along. At both ends of the trail, you will find a paved section, with 2 miles of asphalt on the western side from Cottage Grove and 13 miles on the eastern from Waukesha. Between those sections, the trail transitions to crushed limestone, which is a bit more rustic, but still a mostly smooth and comfortable ride in dry weather. You'll also cross several wooden bridges, spanning wetlands, streams, and old railway gaps. Many have a narrow rubber strip running down the middle that helps protect the bridge, while also covering seams and gaps to protect bike tires. The surface can be a bit bumpy, but it is ultimately a safer crossing.
For my money, this is exactly the kind of trail riding I love to do. And I did say for my money, so note that we are riding in Wisconsin today, and Wisconsin requires that you buy either a day or a year-long trail pass in order to enjoy their bike trails, which of course goes toward the support of the trails and maintenance of those. It does cost a lot of money to maintain these trails, in addition to communities chipping in to help care for them as well. The daily pass amount is $5 per day, or you can do as we did and just pay for the year. It's $25 per person and allows you to ride these trails as many times and whenever you want during that calendar year.
Daily or annual passes are required by the DNR for riders 16 and older and can be purchased at the state park offices, at self-registration trailheads, many trailside businesses, or also conveniently online. About 7 miles from Cottage Grove at the western terminus is the town of Deerfield. This is a great spot to take a break with a restaurant right on the trail, offering food, drinks, and outdoor seating. In addition to serving as a railroad hub in the late 1800s, Deerfield is known for a fascinating Mastodon discovery from the 1960s, when remains were found preserved in the area's boggy soil. Mastodon discoveries are actually fairly common in Wisconsin, especially in the glacial wetlands that once covered much of the state, and the find near Deerfield is part of a long list of Ice Age fossils unearthed in the region. Similar skeleton displays can be seen at the University of Wisconsin's Geology Museum in Madison. The town of London, named after the hometown of many of its early settlers from London, England, is a quaint small town featuring a veterans memorial and a friendly tavern right next to the trail. It's also really fun to see the community support for the trail through cheerful displays such as decorated bicycles and waving yard gnomes that greet passing riders.
So apparently this is a migratory bird. I don't know if it's a bird sanctuary. I haven't seen any signs. It's definitely a wetland though. Yeah, it's a marsh or a swamp.
We weren't entirely sure what this area was at first. It looked like a marsh or maybe a bird sanctuary. It turns out that's exactly right, but it does have a fascinating backstory. The Zolowski Marsh, also known locally as the Muck Farm, was established in the 1940s by the Zolowski family and later purchased by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources in the early 2000s. A muck farm refers to land with deep, nutrient-rich organic soil that forms when wetlands are drained. Once drained, the soil becomes ideal for growing specialty crops such as carrots, onions, peppermint, and spearmint. However, this type of farming is costly and difficult to maintain, and over time, the soil itself can degrade. When the property eventually went up for sale, the state acquired it and began restoring the land back into its natural wetland habitat. There really isn't much signage along the trail explaining what you're seeing. However, the few plaques you do come across are unique gems. One of my favorites was the London Marsh Hideaway plaque, which tells the story of a family of bandits known as the Fighting Finches who hid in the swamps in 1832 after robbing a stagecoach. The sheriff's posse and even the state militia avoided the area because of its difficult terrain, so the family got away and then later settled near Lake Mills. As the wetlands have been restored, this area has truly become a birding paradise. On our return ride, we were lucky enough to spot a pair of sandhill cranes standing on a sandy rise at a landscaping business. Many cranes are still in Wisconsin that time of year, gathering and feeding before their fall migration, so we may have caught this pair getting ready for their journey ahead. The Glacial Drumlin Trail follows the migratory route of many birds. In the fall, from August through October, you can see songbirds such as eastern meadowlarks, indigo buntings, and upland sandpipers heading south. Or during the summer months, you might catch sight of bald eagles, falcons, or kestrels soaring above the trail. Sightings like these remind us why this trail is such a joy to ride. You never know what you'll discover around the next bend. Approaching the Trestle Bridge at Rock Lake is beautiful. The spring-fed lake is 1,365 acres and is located in the city of Lake Mills. Sitting just off I-94, it's a convenient getaway for visitors and a popular local spot for boating, swimming, and some truly great fishing. The old train trestle bridge along the Glacial Drumlin offers an excellent place to cast a line with kick-out benches and plenty of space to settle in and enjoy the water. The fishery is largely self-sustaining with a healthy population of walleye, walleye, northern pike, and largemouth bass. As with all public lakes in Wisconsin, a fishing license is required for anyone 16 and older. A link to the regulations, including bag limits, can be found in the description section of this video. Between the Trestle Bridge and the city of Lake Mills, the trail opens up to several quiet spots where you can wander down to the water's edge for a short hike or one of our favorite activities, a relaxing picnic. While hiking and picnics are prevalent most everywhere, camping along the Glacial Drumlin Trail is only allowed at registered designated areas, but there are plenty of nearby options, from cozy hotels and B&Bs to scenic campgrounds. The most popular stop for campers is just a mile south of Rock Lake at Sand Hill Station, where 15 walk-in campsites are available from May through October. Oh, there's another den.
Oh, yeah, that was a den, wasn't it?
That's a big one. Yeah. I am curious if those are badger dens. They're large. I don't know what other animal would do that. A fox is too shy. It wouldn't be up close to the trail.
I don't know about that. I think a fox might dig a den like that.
While riding the trail, there are plenty of small chipmunk holes, but also several large burrows like the one we just passed that kept us wondering if they belong to groundhogs, fox, or maybe badgers. That curiosity led us to the story behind Wisconsin's nickname, the Badger State. The name actually dates back to lead miners of the 1820s and 30s who were often too poor, too busy, or both to get a house built next to their mines. Instead, to survive the harsh Wisconsin winters, they dug into the hillsides and lived right in their mines. Locals would tease them for living in burrows like animals, calling them badgers, and the nickname stuck. And so, Wisconsin's famous mascot didn't come from the animal itself, but from the miners who quite literally lived like badgers.
Yeah, good sized river. The rivers have been a constant presence on this trail. It's really broken it up and just added so much.
The bridges and waterways truly define the rhythm of this trail. Over the course of its 53 miles, riders cross 16 bridges, each with its own unique character, from the smaller creek crossings to the final Rock River Bridge, which stretches 354 feet.
Yep, this is the big turnaround point. So we're doing it. We're gonna go up around this interstate and do the loop-de-loo. So we'll have to watch for signs, but I wanna make it all the way down so we can see what it's like.
Jefferson Junction, right off of I-94, serves as the trailhead for the eastern terminus of the western section of the Glacial Drumlin Trail. But curious to see the full connection, we continued under the highway to experience the link between the western and eastern sections of the trail.
Yeah, so you can clearly see why we think of this trail as broken up into the western half that we just rode and the eastern, because there's this break right here for the highway. And what a landmark, a Best Western and an A&W root beer stand. It may be worth it. We might hop out on the road just a little bit and just see what the bypass looks like if you do decide to do it. Okay, yeah, so this is where we would hang to the left. You can see a sign right here. Yeah, and I don't think we need to. I think we can show it pretty clearly here. You can see you got a nice berm. It's country road riding.
The 1.5 mile on-road section isn't too bad if you don't mind some street riding. The speed limit is 45, and it's a country road, so traffic is generally light. Still, personally, I'm not a big fan of riding on the road, so this did end up being our turnaround point. The eastern portion will need to wait until another day.
All right, we're making the turnaround at Junction Road. That concludes the western half of the trail, and we're lifting a foot and heading on back. Let's do it.
This trail is an easy scenic ride, full of quiet moments and beautiful views. Our journey's final mileage count for the day, 45 miles. Thanks for joining us on the Glacial Drumlin Trail, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to support our channel and keep exploring more great trails.